you're on the lifeboat, sort of. um, yeah, one more from the road. Uh, I figured I would do this before I got to an airport. Um, they don't seem too happy these days with people doing any kind of filming in airports. So figured I'd knock it out here. I'm at the hotel and getting ready to head over to the airport here shortly. I feel weird. Excuse me. I feel weird doing these things where I just talk about what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It almost feels like Facebook. Uh, because this isn't the Tommy Scoville show. This is the Lifeboat, uh, and I don't want to feel like this is hey, wow, they will let anybody in here. But yeah, I always feel weird doing these things because they're not really sort of, hey Major, good to see you. It's not, I don't know. It doesn't feel like Lifeboat stuff to me. It feels like Facebook with me. Hey, guess what I did this weekend? So, but this one is kind of germane to what we do here because when I got when I got sent to prison and finally got sober, got all of that crap out of my system, it started to occur to me that I really had done a ton of damage in my life, and I started looking at all the bridges that I had burned, and you start to try to figure out which ones might be able to be rebuilt and which ones, hey, Leisure, good to see you. Virginia, good to see you. Miss V. Johnny Scoville, good to see you, bud. And if I've missed anybody, I am really sorry. What do we got there? Virginia, Bubba. Bubba, good to see you. But, yeah, so, brush up on my shirt. It became one of those things that, I don't know, a lot of the bridges that were burnt, at the time you think there's no chance that any of this can be repaired. But yesterday was proof that no matter um, how bad you've burned a bridge or how much you think that things from your past can't be repaired, um, if you just keep putting one foot in front of the other and just keep doing the right thing, I had planned for years, as I said yesterday, but when I first started fantasizing about this, I was going to show up at this graduation and I was going to be like, hey, I'm your dad. They kicked me out of your life kind of thing. But it's not really the way it went down because I started talking to my daughter when she was 12. We sort of reunited. But this was the first time I saw her in person because obviously, for the majority of 12 to 18, I was in prison. And then after getting out, M. Hunt, good to see you, bud. And then after getting out, it was one of those situations that she was not yet 18, and most of the people in her life, the people like my ex-wife, my ex-in-laws, people like that, were just of the opinion that I could never be anything other than a drug-addicted, bank-robbing dirtbag. And I'm not even all that angry about that. I had tons of chances, and I just kept getting thrown, back in prison, or I kept getting arrested, or I kept getting high, and I understand where they were coming from. They didn't do it right. They really didn't. I'm not giving them a free pass. They kicked me out of her life and then told her that I didn't want to be in her life. And that's just absolutely rotten. So they don't get a pass across the board, but I understand where they were coming from. I really do. But yesterday was, um, it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. To stand face to face with my daughter, um, all of those days that I felt like I couldn't get through that day without using. There's no way to explain that to the kid, that my why on those days was her. There's a lot of people that say a lot of stuff about how you have to do this for you. If you're not doing it for you, you're never going to make it. It's got to be about you. Can't be for any other reason. Can't be for any other person. You know what? I don't know, man. I really don't. I know that for me, I'm not worth that. And I certainly wasn't worth that when I was using. So on days where, I really just wanted to call the dope man or walk 4 cells down and see the dope man, um, on those days that I felt weak, it was my daughter that kept me from using. And I think, that's why you got to have a pretty vicious, you got to have a pretty vicious why you have to understand the reasons that you're quitting. Because just the I want to live a better life thing, that sounds good. It really does, and it's important, right? We do all want to live a better life, but I don't know that the desire to live a better life is going to be one of those things that that's going to keep you from screwing up. But having a goal, I really wanted to be back in my daughter's life. I really wanted to be a dad for her, and I don't think you can make up for lost time. Daughters are the best, right? And I'll tell you what, as far as growing up too quickly, when you don't get a shot at the first 12 years, she said yesterday when we first met up, we met up at a coffee shop, and she said, how old was I the last time we saw each other? And I said, 2, you were in diapers. And it was very, very intense. I found mine online, but I won't contact her yet. Miss V, you know what? You'll know when the right time is. I really believe that. I think you will know when the right time is. But I think if you reach out, there's a lot of bridges that we kind of give credit to them being completely destroyed, and very often they're not. They may not be in the best of shape, right? They may need a big time overhaul. But don't think a bridge is destroyed because you set fire to it. Very oftentimes you can still get across that bridge. Miss V, you know what? I talked to her when she was 12. We were emailing back and forth a lot while I was inside. And I also called her on the phone, I think, every other Saturday is when I would do it, every other Saturday. And that was not my choice. That's what I was allowed to do. And then when I got out, we Skype 3 or 4 times, a week, sometimes 3 or 4 times a day, depending on what's going on. But it really is something completely different when you're in the same room as somebody. And there's just no mistaking that this kid, came from me. Same sense of humor. There's just so much about her that, even like facial characteristics, eye color, like if you were to look at her mom and look at me, the poor kid definitely got more of me than she did her mother. But last night, throughout this entire graduation, which was the longest graduation in the history of humanity, I'm not bagging on it. I really am not. But you want to talk about a long graduation. I got there at 5:30, and I didn't leave there until after 10:30. I found mine again after a couple of years, and then I lost her, sadly. Oh man, I am so sorry, Major. Yeah, that is ridiculous. I am so sorry, bud. Tommy, blessed to have you as a dad. Thank you, Cultivate Kindness. I really appreciate that. So 5.5 hours of graduation. This has got to be a new, and I'm sorry, man, just get mad at me, but this has got to be a new snowflake generation kind of thing, because they had 10 valedictorians. They had 10 valedictorians. Doesn't the valedictorian mean the top of the class? Like, I don't remember. Hello, Fiona. Thank you so much. I don't know that, you know what, the best 5 hours of my life, a lot of truth to that, Major, a lot of truth to that. The camera that I have, from 150 yards out, I could blow up, my daughter's face to the point where I could literally read her lips. From a football field and a half away. It's just the most beautiful camera setup. It really is just absolutely amazing. But throughout the entire thing, we were just texting back and forth. And nothing I could put on the air because it was all just terribly inappropriate, because it's sort of, we share a sense of humor, and I didn't start it, she did. Thank you so much, Virginia. I am definitely blessed with a beautiful daughter. I have a beautiful son as well, but I spent a great deal of time with my son. You know what I mean? I raised my son. I didn't really jump off the rails in terms of getting incarcerated until I was closing in on 40. Up until that point, it's not that I wasn't a drug addict and a criminal. I just hadn't gotten caught enough to get thrown in prison. But about that time, I really jumped the rails. So I was there for all of my son's childhood, and to this day we're super super close. But it was yeah, it was an otherworldly kind of experience, and there were so many just like again strange sort of coincidences or whatever you want to call it. The currently I got probably 750 watches in the inventory, and my daughter wanted a watch for graduation, and I said you can pick any watch you want, like I don't care which one you pick, so I put it on Skype, and I'm walking up and down this entire inventory of watches, and I'm not exaggerating. If I'm messed up, I'm on the low end. It might be 1,000. It's a lot of watches, right? Awful lot of watches. And she goes, wait, that one, back up, that one. So I back up and I'm pointing to 4 different watches, and she's like, no, that. She pointed to a 1982 Swatch. You guys probably remember Swatch. But the chronograph, the kind with the 2 pushers. In 1982, my love affair for watches started. Really. That's when the whole thing started. I was just, I started collecting Swatches. But the one I wanted was that watch. And in 82, you couldn't get it. There was waiting lists, and it's just a ridiculous thing to try to pick up one of these things back then. And I didn't get it until a couple of months ago. We were joking that it took 35 years for me to get a $30 Swatch, but I got it. It runs. It's vintage. It's absolutely perfect. And I was like, "This is the watch you want." And she said, "Yeah." The odds of her picking that out of the number of watches that I have, and I mean, you would think that they'd go, "Hey, I'll take that Rolex," you know what I mean, or something along those lines. But yeah, I thought it was just remarkable that she picked the first watch I ever fell in love with. It was just pretty unique. But on the whole, this has just been it's been an otherworldly kind of experience. It really has. And like I said, I feel really messed up doing this kind of thing. I watch other people do this all the time, and I guess they're comfortable with it. I feel super comfortable when I'm talking to you about something. But when I got to sit here and sort of tell you what's going on in my life, I feel like I'm like those people that say, well, I'm eating at such and such a restaurant. And I just look at them like, damn, dude, who cares that you're eating at a restaurant? But I wanted to do this because I've got a ridiculous layover. And I get to San Jose at like noon, and I think I fly out of San Jose at like 5:40. It's a long layover. But they're getting pretty militant about YouTubers broadcasting from airports. When I did the little broadcast yesterday, no sense of humor about it at all. I mean, when they came over, they were actually kind of rude. I mean, there was a great big sign that said "Don't do it," but whatever. But I did want to come on, and I wanted to tell you people that there's not going to be a show tonight because I will be traveling, unless by some stroke of luck I can catch an earlier flight. Historically, that doesn't happen to me. Historically, if I try to catch an earlier flight, I just have never been very lucky with that. But I certainly am going to try because I have a lot of time to kill. And you don't know that I brought the wrong charger, right? The wrong phone charger. So, I've had an Apple forever, and now I don't have an Apple, but it's keep happiness in your hat and in your mind. You can't go on. Yeah. Speaking of hats, I feel naked. I'll be really honest with you. I feel naked. But yeah, I brought the wrong charger. I brought an Apple charger, and when I showed up at the graduation, I had, I don't know, maybe 50% charge on my phone, but just texting back and forth to my daughter for 5.5 hours destroyed all of that. And then I went out and bought a charger, bought the wrong charger. Oh, don't forget you all can find us in a group chat on Facebook. Says Hermit Hill, Kentucky. Yeah, so you guys can head over to that. That's a very good idea. That's typical that the story I hear all the time. I forgot my charger. Have you got one that fits my phone? Yeah, well, and I went downstairs. This entire hotel apparently has some kind of deal with Apple. every employee here. Finally, this morning, I found somebody that allowed me to charge the phone, and I have a rapid charger for this phone, and I could charge the entire thing start to finish in about 25 minutes. Without that rapid charger, it takes 6 weeks to charge this phone. Never seen anything like it. This girl was kind enough to let me plug this thing in behind the desk for an hour, solid hour, and I'm sure it was going ding, 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 and driving her nuts every second. But after a solid hour of being plugged in, I had 16% charge. It's just, I was like, you got to be kidding me. That's just awful. Now, when I get to the airport, I'm going to give it a try and see if I can't buy another one there. Because right now, I'm at 9. I think that's a 9. I'm at about 9% charge right now, which when I get to about 7, right, this whole thing dims, and yeah, and it's just, I love this phone. I mean, especially the camera parts of it. You know, I kid you not, people, I was a football field and a half away from my daughter, and I could pull her face in so that it looked like I was standing 2 feet away, and I would take a picture and then send it to her, you know, and she was just, you know, blown away, because using her phone going the opposite direction, she was lucky if she could find the section of the bleachers that I was in. But and oddly enough, I walked within 3 feet of my former in-laws and my ex-wife, maybe 6 feet, but we went, I mean, straight by each other. And at the time, I was actually texting my daughter, and I was leaning up against the wall, and if they were any closer, I could have reached out and touched them. And they walked right by, had no idea, you know, and, which is pretty funny because I have not changed much. I mean, I got older, but this was pretty much, you know, my look back then. You know, I've been shaving my head for a really, really long time. So I don't know, it was weird, but yeah, it was a great day all the way around, people. I was at a graduation last week. Her mother didn't come. Ow, it's terrible. You know what though? I was that guy for my entire life. I thought about that so many times at last night's graduation. If I was strung out, if I was still getting high, that graduation was so long that I probably would have had to go cop dope. If not, I most assuredly would have had to go to the bathroom and fix. And I'll tell you, because of everything that's been going on, obviously, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff that's been going on in, you know, in this country, and kids getting hurt, guns and everything else. So the police presence last night at that graduation was beyond belief. I mean, beyond belief. And I'm not upset about it at all. But yeah, it would have been a real bummer if you were still on drugs, because there was a cop about every 2 feet. It was, but it was a really good time. I'm going to try to save a little bit of this just in, they were there to watch you. You know what, Major? There's probably, that's probably the funniest thing that anyone has said since I told them that, but there could be a little truth to that, right? That dude, you know, run him. He robbed banks. I do have kind of an ugly rap sheet, so, but yeah, it could have been for me. Oh, it's funny. My daughter would get a kick out of that. All right, people. I'm going to wrap this thing up. I wish I could just sit here and talk to you for an hour so that you guys could have an opportunity to chat back and forth. I can't do it because of the battery. So, but tomorrow night, what's that bloke? Don't let him go. Near the ticket office. No, you know, I had a wristband and I could not get a wristband around my wrist. How ugly is that? I literally could not get the thing around there, so I just sort of had to, oh, you know what? Truth, AFAM relapsed on alcohol. Truth, prepping. Hey, you know what, man? There are 2 kinds of relapses. If you get nothing out of the lifeboat, ever, get this. There are 2 kinds of relapses. There are good relapses and there are bad relapses. A bad relapse is when you get drunk or you get high and then you just continue on with your life without figuring out what caused you to relapse in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? So make this a great, you know, relapse. Make this the best relapse of your life. Find out why you cracked that first beer or whatever it is you drink. Figure it out. Go all the way back, right? Because I promise you, you didn't relapse when you started drinking, right? That's just when you started drinking. You relapsed way, way before then. Hey, Spanx Calhoun. Speaking of my son, yeah, I'm definitely happy. I'm happy. I had a great day yesterday. It was really a good time. It really was. But again, people, I'm going to wrap this up. I do not have a whole lot of battery. I will be back tomorrow night, and we will be doing a proper lifeboat. And by that I mean I'll be wearing a cool hat. All right. And we are putting together the whole new format and all that. I talked to my bobbleheaded partner who is actually working on this during his vacation, which is pretty solid of him. But yeah, so the best is yet to come. Oh boy, I wish I didn't lose that one. Hold on here. I feel you. One of the most stressful 2 weeks that I've had to endure. Well, then it sounds like you have a pretty good idea when it started, right? Do me a favor, Truth. Come tomorrow night. Please, make tomorrow night's show. Because I would really love to do this for another 25 minutes. I would love to talk to you personally. But this phone isn't even gonna make it until I check in at the airport. I will be broadcasting tomorrow night. You have my word. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. See ya.